Hey everybody, Pook here with also known as Pook Ninja with episode 6 of Tales of a 50-Year-Old Gamer. Um, Recording here on November 7th at 12:29 a.m. after the midnight hour. And we're going to talk about how we got the Sega Master System for the Christmas of 1987. As I've mentioned in past episodes, I received the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, Christmas of 1986. And me and my younger brother and all of our friends and such enjoyed that so much. And we kept seeing the Sega Master System. We seen it in magazines. We would see TV commercials for it. We knew the name Sega. You know, we were familiar with the Sega brand because of games that came out for the ColecoVision and the Atari 2600, and also mainly because of the arcade. You know, we knew the Sega name, the Sega brand, and it's like, wow, Sega's got its own home console. And the NES I received it at Christmas '86, and even me and my brother shared that. So he wanted the Sega Master System, and I wanted him to have the Sega Master System because I wanted to play it too. And none of our friends that we knew had one, and we would see some cool commercials for some of the games. So the Christmas of 1987. My brother did receive the Sega Master System, and we hooked that up right next to the NES. Daisy chained the RF switches, because the RF switch on the back of the NES had a spot where you could hook up in like a VCR or another console. And so we would daisy chain the RF switches, hooked them up together, and we started playing. And I like the Sega Master System. I think maybe not nowadays, but back then the Sega Master System was kind of poo-pooed on in a way. Some people liked it, but nobody had one in our neighborhood or our friends or our circle or family or anything. And nobody had one, so like we were like the first to really have one. People just seen the games and the systems. Everybody wanted an NES, because that's where it was at. And I enjoyed the Sega Master System very much, and so did my brother. And I think a lot of the Sega Master System, I would say there were some Sega Master System games that were more enjoyable and better than the NES counterpoint parts. Like the pack-in for the Sega Master System that we got was Hang On Safari Hunt, and then the pack-in we got with the NES was Gyromite and Duck Hunt with the Rob the Robot toy accessory, whatever you want to call it. I thought the Sega Master System had a better pack-in. Hang On, we knew Hang On from the arcade. Our arcade actually had a Hang On that had the motorcycle, our main arcade that we went to. We had a lot of arcades at that time. The main arcade that we went to had the Hang On with the where you sat on the motorbike and played it. And I love racing games. And the Master System version was a good port of Hang On for home system. Played well, had great music, was fun. And Safari Hunt was the other game that was on the cartridge, because it was kind of like how later Nintendo had the Super Mario Duck Hunt double cartridge. They had the Hang On Safari Hunt cartridge that was the pack-in. And Safari Hunt was fun with the gun. It was a light gun game because the Master System came with 2 controllers and the light phaser. And I really enjoyed the Safari Hunt. I mean, I think people these days would say Duck Hunt was the better game, but I thinking back, I had fun playing Safari Hunt. Safari Hunt was goofy, but it was cool. It had cool music. I remember you would shoot, like, if there was like a duck flying by or some kind of bird flying by, you shoot it and it would turn into like a roasted or cooked turkey or chicken, and there would be a Band-Aid on it. And The enemies had goofy animations and stuff, especially once they were shot. You know, it was family friendly, I guess, but it was funny though. But it was entertaining, and Safari Hunt was a good game. I don't know if I would. I think I liked it better than Duck Hunt. I mean, if I played it now, I probably have more nostalgia for Duck Hunt, just because it's Duck Hunt. We used to play the versus Duck Hunt at the arcade, and Safari Hunt was just kind of a home console thing. Duck Hunt would probably get more play today, but Safari Hunt was a damn good game. That was the only game we had for it for a little while, and then we went to KB Toys at our one of our local malls, because we had 2 malls in our town, and then we had 3 or 4 malls in the 3 or 4 more malls in the surrounding area. And I remember I can't remember what was the next game, but I remember in orders, I know my brother wanted Monopoly, which actually Master System plays a damn good game of Monopoly. I mean, it had the animation when you build the house, when you put a house on the property and stuff. This is actually a cool version. I like the Sega Master System of Monopoly better than the NES version of Monopoly. But I remember getting Outrun for the Sega Master System, because I was buying games for the Master System too, because you know, we shared them. I shared the NES, he shared the Master System, but technically the NES would be mine, the Master System was his, but we shared it. They were hooked up to the same TV. And yeah, and I thought Outrun was way better than what the racing game for the NES, which was Rad Racer. You know, I thought Outrun was way better than Rad Racer as a game. And at that point, I never played Outrun at the arcade. I just knew it from the Sega Master version. And I was like, man, this kicks ass. And the great music, the musical sound shower, and all the Passing Breeze or whatever it was called, and just the great music and gameplay. And I just, yeah, some of the Master System games I thought beat out the Nintendo counterparts, or, you know, like the music you hear in the background here is from the Cave of Phantasy Star, the dungeons. The Phantasy Star was like probably the best 8-bit RPG when it comes to NES and Sega Master System role-playing games. Even though I'm a big Dragon Warrior fan, or Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is what it's now known as, because that was the original name of Japan, but we got it here as Dragon Warrior. I believe there was a copyright reason why they couldn't call it Dragon Quest at that time. And even though I'm a huge fan of Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest, couldn't beat Phantasy Star, man. The sci-fi, the graphics, especially when you're in the cave or the dungeons, the first person graphic, it was like, that's 3D, you know, and the music and the story. But the game was hard. I mean, like Final Fantasy on the NES or Dragon Warrior on the NES and stuff, you could pretty much play those with, for the most part, without a guide or something. But Phantasy Star, you had to draw maps for some of those crazy caves, dungeons, you know, and you needed a guide. And you know, but it was an epic game. You know, I think Phantasy Star holds up today, you know, with RPGs today. I mean, maybe not graphically, but gameplay wise, it holds up today. Maybe some would say Dragon Warrior wouldn't, because it was simple, it was a simple, older game, you know. But I really, you know, we knew nobody, and we've only met a couple people. I don't even remember. They were people that we went to school with, or people that knew other people we knew that we went to school with, or what. But we finally met a couple people that had Sega Master System, and we traded games. I remember we borrowed like Thunderblade for the Sega Master System. That was one we didn't own that we borrowed, or Rostan, which Rostan was great on the Sega Master System. You basically had a Conan the Barbarian or He-Man type character, and you'd go through the game, and it was a really good game. And you know, so Sega Master System always has a soft spot in my heart. Just, I mean, the NES was the boss, but Master System wasn't a bad second console to have. You know, and I loved games. Shinobi, the original, the arcade Shinobi was on the Sega Master System. It's a damn good port. Where I think NES probably had the Ninja category beat with the Ninja Gaiden, however you want to pronounce it. We called it Gaiden back then. We didn't know Gaiden or Side Story or whatever. It was Gaiden to us. But I think Ninja Gaiden and then the later sequels to Ninja Gaiden were way better than Shinobi. But Shinobi was still a great game, you know. It was still excellent. And then you had, like, I guess you would say the Super Mario game on the Master System would be Alex Kidd. And Alex Kidd in Miracle World is a great game. I mean, in text specs or whatever, it's a much better game than Super Mario Brothers, but that didn't matter, man. What mattered was gameplay, and Mario was king. I mean, even though Alex Kidd had more going for it, you couldn't touch Super Mario Brothers. And then Super Mario Brothers 2, and it was, you know, I mean, we liked it, but it was just a little too different. But Super Mario Brothers 3, I mean, Super Mario Brothers 3 is still a top platformer. You know, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of games that ever came out later on that can top Mario 3, in my opinion. That's a great game. But yeah, I mean, you had Alex Kidd, and then there was a series of Alex Kidd games. There was a few other Alex Kidd games, but they weren't really that good. I think Alex Kidd in the Miracle World was probably the best one. Double Dragon on the NES actually had 2 players at the same time, where the NES one didn't. But if for a 1-player affair, Double Dragon on NES was better. It was just a better game. I mean, it just was. It played better, and it looked better, in my opinion. So, but the Master System was great to have at that time with the NES. You know, we had the NES, the Master System, and then we had our old ColecoVision with the Atari 2600 adapter, so you could play Atari games on it, and the old Texas Instrument TI-99 4A, and I'd have to say the Coleco and the TI-99 4A were collecting dust. it was the NES and Master System was the ones being played, and you know, it was also hard to find. You could go and buy Master System games. There was stores around here that carried them, but it was hard to find stores that rented a Sega Master System game. There was one mom and pop rental store that rented Master System games, and it was a limited selection compared to the NES selection at that rental store. So it was kind of pretty much with the Sega Master System. There wasn't a lot of trading because there wasn't a lot of people that we knew that had it, and you know, there wasn't a lot of rentals. So it was kind of like, you know, you didn't buy as many games for the Master System because you weren't sure. And there was you know, the box art, you know, back of the Master System games didn't give a lot of room for imagination. There was only like 2 pictures of the screenshots on the back. So, but great system. I still say to this day the Sega Master System is an underrated console. Lots of great games. Later on, when the Game Gear came out, a lot of those games were Master System games that were in other countries, like Sonics and Streets of Rage and stuff. And because in Europe and in other places, Master System actually beat out the NES. It was their number 1 8-bit console at that time. So yeah, Master System was great to have. So definitely, to anybody that's into retro gaming, whether you emulate, whether you play real hardware, or you play like on a Retron 5 or whatever you do, PC emulators, whatever, definitely give the Master System a shot and check out some of those games. And I think you might be surprised if you don't have a history with it, because there's some good stuff on there. So all right, everybody, hope you all enjoyed the episode, and take care.